Hi, Ellis County. I'm Amy Trull, and this is DownHome Up Close. And we are sitting in the living room with Connilyn Cossette. She is a local author. And so we're just going to catch up with her and let her tell you her amazing story of really just kind of becoming a world-renowned author in the Christian world, really from your living room and from being a homeschool mom and just watching how God has just completely transformed her life. So, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Okay, so we go way back.
Yes, we do.
Have been friends since our boys were toddlers, running around.
I think 15 months or so.
Really little.
Yeah.
I can remember one of our first play dates at Getzendaner Park.
Yes.
And they were just running around in their diapers.
They were.
They're going to hate us for saying that, but
they will.
But they were. And so obviously I knew you before you started writing, and so it's been really, really special for me to be able to watch your journey and just to see how God has developed this gift that I'm assuming was always there, but it just really came to life not too terribly long ago.
It's true.
So tell us a little bit about your first days, really getting into writing, and you were right here in Ellis County, in Waxahachie when that started. So yeah.
Well, we moved to Texas when Colin was very small, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and my husband was a long-haul truck driver at the time, and I had always wanted to be a writer since I was very little. I would go to the library and check out 500 books, and dreamed of seeing a book on the shelf that had my name on it someday. And when somebody would ask, well, if money was no object and you could do anything you want, what would it be? And I always said author, but I always thought, yeah, sure, that's not going to happen. And so even though I wrote little poems and little things, I never really sat down and thought, okay, I'm going to write a book. And then I was just doing some Bible study for myself, just some personal digging deeper into the Word, and I got fascinated with ancient Egypt and the Exodus, and I just had a story start to kind of develop in my mind, and it wouldn't leave me alone. And so, of course, I had little children, and so the only time when I could write was at nap times and in the middle of the night. So because my daughter was not a very good napper, I ended up writing between about 10 o'clock and 2 in the morning most of the time. And I would just, write whatever came to me. I had no idea how to write a book. I had never been taught how to write a book. And so I just went to the library and checked out anything I could. I got on the internet and did research on, how to write a book and how to get into the publishing world because I was clueless. And so I started writing. I wrote about 4 chapters, and I thought, this is the worst thing anyone has ever written anytime, anywhere. No one is ever going to want to read this. And I put it away. And I think it was about a year later, we moved up to Seattle. My husband was transferred for a year up to Seattle, and I had nothing to do, and it rains all the time in Seattle. So I was stuck in the house, and I thought, okay, I need to write that book. I need to work on it. And so I got into it and did some more research, and it just kind of poured out of me at that time. We came back a year later, and I pretty much had a finished manuscript at that time, and I started sending it off to literary agents and got lots and lots of no's and a lot of just silence because I was a nobody and no one knew anything about me. So, but I entered a contest with the American Christian Fiction Writers Association, and I semifinaled in that contest to my great surprise. And I entered another contest, and I actually won that contest. And through those associations, I actually ended up signing with a literary agent who then took my manuscript to publishers. And only a couple of months later, I was signed with my dream publisher. And so I'm still, 12 books later, still pinching myself.
Yeah.
I am where I'm at. So.
And it's really fascinating to see just that short time frame and and you have 12 books to show for
Pretty
it.
crazy. I have no idea. I can only say that it's the Lord helping me get through, because I'm a classic procrastinator. But now I have deadlines and publishers that need that book at a certain time. So
Yeah.
and it just pours out of me faster than it used to. So
I know that just, being obviously your friend and being around, I know a question that people often ask you is, how do you know that there's going to be more stories to come out? Like you write these stories and you have these characters, and then you kind of, maybe finish them up, or at least kind of draw them to a conclusion. And then what? Is there ever that anxiety of what's next? And is there going to be more in there?
Well, it used to be that way. I thought I would maybe write one book. I thought I maybe had one book in me. And when I was told that publishers usually like to have a 3-book kind of a deal to start with, I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? I don't have any more stories. And then just kind of gradually it started to come. The next two, I actually wrote the 3rd book before I wrote the 2nd one. And then after that, because I was kind of more in the rhythm of working through story and plotting, it started to kind of come more natural. And I really kind of see characters more as I'm going through, rather than the fully fleshed out story.
Yeah.
So I think I have so many characters kind of bothering me that want their stories told now, that I have a lot more stories than I have time to write.
That's interesting. It's like start with the person, and then the stories come and flow from there.
Or I'll find a little, tidbit in the Bible. Like there's a little tiny passage about how when the Hebrews would go to war against the Canaanites, they could take a wife, but she had to shave her head, and she had to cut her fingernails and take off her Canaanite clothes and become Hebrew, basically.
Yeah.
And I got so fascinated with that idea that she had to shave her head.
Yeah.
And that just spun into a whole story. So
Yeah.
I just like to find those little known tidbits in the Bible and
Yeah.
spin it into a story. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. Tell us a little bit about your process. Like, how do you, I'm sure there's lots of different ways to approach writing, and people do it all different kinds of ways, but how do you prefer to start a book, or, to get that going?
Well, I have the luxury of having a wonderful group of ladies that I work with. We call ourselves the Coast to Coast Plotter Society, because we meet in North Carolina one year and we meet in Idaho the other year, so we go back from coast to coast. And there's 5 of us, Nicole Deese, Tammy Gray, Christy Barrett, and Amy Matayo, and myself. And what we do is we get together and we just spend a week plotting. And we actually, at the minimum, we'll plot 2 books a piece. And we just take a 90-minute period and we just throw as many ideas as we possibly can at the wall and see what sticks. And we just leave that week full of inspiration. And so that really has become kind of the core of the beginning of my process now, is working through the beginning plots with those ladies and then drawing on that. I actually handwrite all of my manuscripts now, which I didn't before. I just started doing that the last couple of books. And it's really changed how I kind of approach the story and how I approach scenes. And so it kind of turns off my inner editor and makes me have to just let the words flow.
It's
and
not
I don't
quite
have
so
to,
technical.
Yeah, and I don't have to stop and fix things and fix spelling or worry about all that. I can cross something out and just keep moving. And so it really has helped my flow, and my word count is up way high every day. So I take that handwritten scene or chapter, and then I input it in and I edit as I go as I'm putting it in. So by the time it's inputted, it's pretty well edited. So
That's good.
Yeah. But then of course there's lots of rounds of editing with the publisher. So
Right. That's incredible. So we visited you at Waxahachie Bible Church. They had they had you come and speak and
so much fun.
do like a book signing, and so tell us a little bit about some of these events that you're able to do, and what you love so much about that.
Oh my goodness, just hearing people talking about my imaginary friends is crazy, and it's just wonderful to be with people that love story and connect in some way. It's always fascinating to me which characters certain people will connect with.
Yeah.
and which stories they just love, and everyone kind of has their own different things. So
Yeah.
I just love hearing from them. Writing a book is kind of like a solitary endeavor. I'm, sitting in my chair and doing my own thing, and to open it up and hear how my words have affected people, sometimes on the other side of the world, is
Yeah.
mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
So I just love it.
What are some examples of these people around the world that have read your stories? Like, to share a little bit about some of those.
Wow, I've had a lot. I've had a few people from Australia. I have one gentleman, in fact, in Australia who's written me just
Aw.
huge letters about all the things he loves about my books. And I had a gentleman in China who wrote me a story, or wrote me a note right when Counted with the Stars, my first book, came out, about how he connected to Kaya, the Egyptian slave, because he grew up in a household that worshipped idols, and then he came to the Lord. So that was really fascinating for me to see that through somebody's eyes that was actually grew up as an idol worshiper. So my books have been translated into Romanian, Slovak, Polish, Afrikaans, and one more that I can't think of, but it's Dutch.
Yeah.
I actually have quite a few Dutch readers, so
That's so neat.
It's really cool to see my words translated into
Yeah.
other languages and different covers and things. So
Yeah. And there's a special group of nuns
Oh my
somewhere,
goodness.
right? They're very dear to
My
your
nuns.
heart.
Oh, they're so precious. Yes, I have a convent of nuns in Ohio, and one of the ladies, Sister Elizabeth, wrote me a few weeks ago and told me how much she loved my books and what she connected. And she wrote me quite a long email about what she enjoyed about my books. And she said that she and a few of her fellow nuns have kind of formed a little book club. And she says they're my biggest fans, and they get so excited when new books come. So I sent her a package of books recently, and she said it was pretty funny because they couldn't find her, and
Yeah.
she said all these nuns were running around trying to find her and give her my book.
I love it.
They're
So
precious.
You'll have to visit them.
someday.
Yeah, you'll have to go visit them.
Yeah, I've
sometime.
already told her when I'm in Ohio or up that way, I will definitely come visit. So
Yeah. So tell us what's next. Like, what are you working on right now, and when can we expect some new material?
Well, I just turned in, I think it's my 12th book, to Guidepost Fiction, and that's the story of David's mother. And now that I'm finished with that, I'm moving on to a new series that I'm doing for Bethany House. And it's a 4-book series, and it's a spin-off of the last series that I did, which is the Covenant House series. Okay. And it's 4 cousins who run off against their parents' wishes to go fight for King Saul. So I'm really excited about it. And there's actually going to be a bit of a mystery thread that goes through all of the books, which is a little different than I've done before. Yeah. And they're going to really tie together in a new way.
It's exciting. It's like a different little angle for you.
It is. It's really fun. It's always fun to, I don't know them yet. I don't know these characters yet, and to figure out who they are and what their stories are. And so.
Well, awesome. I know you have a ton of local fans and fans around the country and the world, and it's just really exciting to see how God has just really blessed this gift.
It really has.
And I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so proud of you as your friend, and just can't wait to see what the future holds for you. So thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll stay in touch. And once the video concludes, we will have information for Connie to be able to find her books and for you to find them and read them yourselves. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining us.